Main event, a little bit of a perplexing main event, I guess. What were your thoughts on that?
I guess my take on it is, and you guys can let me know what you think, but when you're 35 years old and or any age in this sport, you're like, yeah, I'm going to wait. Waiting is never a good idea in this sport. This sport doesn't wait for anybody. And I think he looked slow tonight. He got out-wrestled. Leon looked good. Leon looked fast. Looked like he had trouble dealing with his speed, and then getting out-wrestled, too. And not to mention the fact that Leon absolutely destroyed that leg, too.
Yeah. So we talk about him waiting. I mean, I think the thought was along the way that you guys were kind of holding him out for a title shot. Were there other fights you wanted for Colby?
I don't ever have anybody wait in this business, man. This is not a business that waits for you.
Yeah.
Your windows are very short, and you never know, once you start getting up into your mid-30s, when you're going to show up and just not look like you anymore.
Yeah. Bilal Muhammad was the backup this week. I think you said he's next. Just still seemed like the next fight for you.
I'm not even thinking about that right now.
And last thing I'll ask on the main event with Leon, do you have an idea, like, let's get him back to England now, or we like him here in the States now, or do you have an idea, a plan, like, where it makes sense for him to fight?
Obviously, it makes a lot of sense to have him fight in England. If you look at what the kid's done, he beat Usman twice and just beat Colby. Colby's the guy that I was saying if Usman didn't exist, he'd probably be the dominant champion in that weight class, and Leon beat them both. So, yeah.
Dana down here. With Colby and his performance tonight, obviously the time away from the cage probably was a factor, but do you think there was pressure on him, like, involving Trump to the level he did, wanting the belt wrapped around by him, 35 years old, potentially last title shot? Do you think maybe the pressure got to him a little bit?
Yeah, I think pressure gets to everybody. I'm sure Leon had a ton of pressure. I mean, he was just talking about what he said about his father, and, the last thing you want to do is now go out and lose to that guy. All these guys deal with pressure. But Colby's been in big fights before. This isn't Colby's first rodeo. He's been in big fights, and Colby just looked slow and old tonight, in my opinion.
Did Trump give his feedback on Colby's performance?
No, I think everybody felt the same way. I mean, he got out-wrestled by Leon tonight.
You've had with Colby, because you mentioned that waiting is a bad thing and the window is so small, and he was really good. He was like right there with Usman, who was the pound for pound best in the world, and not only that, but he also sells. Like, people want to see Colby fight. Did you give him the indication of like why he hasn't, he's had these bouts of inactivity? That's
actually a good point. One of the things, this gentleman over here, I think, asked me about or one of you two, about what's too much and when it comes to the trash talk. After that press conference, or during, in the middle, or whatever, pay-per-view shot up 25%. Literally, you can literally, and it wasn't like they were, like our analytical team was basing it off YouTube views. They were basing it off actual pre-buys while the press conference was going on and ended. 25%. Globally, too. Not just on ESPN. Globally, up 25%, which is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
So he was also leaving money on the table, in a sense, too. By not fighting more often, he was leaving money on the table.
Well, I mean, you see guys that want to wait. I mean, Chandler's waiting right now. And I mean, there's a whole laundry list of guys that I could say are waiting.
Colby wasn't waiting for Conor. Colby was waiting for something else.
Yeah. Well, no, he's waiting for a title shot. Yeah.
Colby was saying that if he had won, Trump would have wrapped the belt around him. Is that true?
No.
And then finally,
Do you think Secret Service is going to let him get up there in the middle of the octagon?
I'm pretty,
Definitely not.
I'm pretty gullible.